This is Mongolian Mindset, and today we are going to be breaking down one of the 16 personality types, the ISFP. This is an interesting personality type to break down. It's one of the sensors. We know you guys are looking for those intuitives, but you're going to suffer with us as we knock off these sensors as we go. And the ISFP, I think, is the sensor that is the most intuitive. And a lot of times, this ISFP can sneak you into mistyping them because of the FINI loop. Okay. A lot of times people make that mistake. Okay. And a lot of times when they talk, they can seem a lot more shorter than they really are because they believe in action, not words. Okay. This is going to be a great one. So even if you're blind, deaf, and dumb, you'll be walking away from this video and feel competent that you understand what an ISFP is all about.
And like always, you're not going to want to click off the video because we're bringing the examples of real life scenarios that we've experienced with these people. So you're going to want to stick around because we're going to give you all the tips and tricks of how to kind of know what these people are about and how to identify them properly. Okay. So stick around.
And shout out to my boy Deshaun for being the thumbnail. Okay, guys, some of the famous ISFPs are Rihanna, Kim Kardashian, NBA YoungBoy, and whether you know or not, Bo Jackson, one of the greatest athletes of all time, right? ISFPs are known to have pretty good kinesthetic intelligence. Okay, so we're going to be looking at it from the holistic view here. They are guided by a strong core of inner values and want their outer life to demonstrate those values. So you'll see them really idealistic with their values, right? Because they want the world to take on those values and take on what they deem is important to them. Okay. They're in tune to their feelings and their inner harmony, right? And can pick up on emotions of others, right? These people are very empathetic. They are very in tune with emotions, whether it be yours or theirs. Okay. Younger, they may not pick up on your emotions so well, but when they get older and that FE opposing starts to grow, they'll be way more in tune with picking up other people's emotions. So that's important to take on. Can feel their emotions intensely and nuancedly, right? So like a person like myself, I don't really feel those emotions so nuanced, but these people have a rich inner world. On the surface can look cool to strangers. They are extremely sensitive and nurturing people. So that's one of the things that people don't notice about ISFP guys, right? They can look very stoic, but once you like get to know them, you notice that like they are very like empathetic, sympathetic, into like their values and what they believe and of that nature. But like just seeing them randomly, you won't pick up on that. But once they start to open up their inner world to you, you will notice that like, damn, like this really bothers that person, or like, damn, like I didn't see this side of them. And be hopeless romantic. On the surface can look cool. The strangers are extremely sensitive and nurturing, don't enjoy routines, but will tirelessly work for something they believe. That's the good thing here. Like they don't really like routines, but if they believe in something and they feel strongly about something, they'll work tirelessly for that. Okay. They live in the present with a quiet sense of joyfulness. They want to experience each moment, learn by doing more than reading or hearing, right? They learn through SE, right? They're not in the books like me and stuff of that nature. They're into just doing things and learning. They're going to learn through the SE. Enjoy the freedom to follow their own course, have their own space, and set their own time frame. So these people are more on the pragmatic scale. Okay. Often have affinity for nature and the beauty in all living things, people, plants, and animals. Bond with those who take time to understand their values and goals and support them. So that if you want to get to know an ISFP, you will need to bond over their values, right? Because they feel strongly about those. Possess a keen eye for beauty and innate talent for artistic expression. Naturally drawn to creative endeavors, often channeling emotions into art, music, and crafts, right? That's the big takeaway right there. Naturally draws to creative endeavors, channeling those emotions, those intense, nuanced emotions into art, and that their work that they channel their emotions in sometimes live forever, right? So it's important to notice that. And people really bond with those people. Like NBA YoungBoy, he has a very tight group of friends or followers. Right? His followers, they tell you NBA YoungBoy followers are crazy. They'll come end your shit. Seen as quiet, authentic, reserved, private, spontaneous, adaptable. So the spontaneous and adaptable is gonna come from the SE parent. Is observant, realistic, practical, sensitive, considerate, sympathetic, kind, gentle, and can be soft spoken. A lot of times you can notice ISFPs will have soft spoken voices or high pitched with the women. I would say like falsetto with the guys sometimes. But yeah.
Hmm.
All right, Christian.
All right. So ISFP, they are adaptable and flexible until something they value is endangered. So basically, Mercer and I used to have this coworker that we work with that we identified as a ISFP. She was always talking about, the idealistic view of what the job should mean, and then it was always in conflict with her value system, how things were being done. Uh, so on that case, she was always complaining about that. So basically, they'll work with you until their values are endangered, and then they're kind of like check out. They want out of that process, right? They can give less attention to intuitive and thinking preferences, which can lead to rejecting or not taking serious logical systems. Not always see the wider ramifications of their specific immediate decisions, and feel ill-equipped to deal with complexity, right? As opposed to, for example, ISTPs where logic is king, they take their FI as king, right? So sometimes they won't see the logical system as important. They'll just go after what they feel or what they value, right? They dress aesthetically pleasing, can be colorful, and enjoy keeping up their appearance. So they're a little bit more eccentric with their appearance. I would say they can even be a little bit more risk taking with their appearance compared to, for example, myself. They're not highly verbal. They have no interest in verbal. They prefer to express themselves through actions and gestures. Okay. They practice tactical competency over logistical, means they're acting in the moment, right? So they're taking action in the moment and they are improvising, kind of being adaptable in the moment. They can display high levels of kinesthetic intelligence, like Mercer mentioned. They have a preference for hands-on activities that can make them lose interest in academic settings. Second to INFP in ability to actively listen. They can exhibit an unknowingly need for control that they aren't aware of, and they can be sensitive to voice tone when interacting with individuals. So this could look like, let's say, if you talk in a tone of voice that's a little bit too high for them, they'll be like, "Oh, why are you yelling at me? Why are you yelling at me?" Right? Like they feel kind of like attacked in that moment. So, and their main priority is to find careers and opportunities that align with their value system, as opposed to, so like for example, myself, who is like thinking about money and stuff like that. They want to do what's right for them within their value system.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think you killed that there. When it comes to the appearance, right? They really keep up with that. They do pretty damn good. Like a lot of times, you may even see some of the ISFP males getting manicures and painting their nails and stuff of that nature. Um, the women do a very good job of keeping up with themselves as well. The males, I would say, prefer to do the express themselves through actions a little bit more than the women. Okay, you guys got to always be able to distinguish the male versus the woman as close as we can. Okay, so the interaction styles for the ISFP guys, right? So you have the informative, right? They're indirect. They use open-ended statements. They don't really like to tell people what to do. They don't like to direct your ass around. As opposed to myself, I love telling people what to fucking do. That's my fucking superpower. So they're outcome focused, right? They're gonna be looking outcome slash control. They're gonna be looking for that end product. There's an end product they're searching for. They're not about the journey. It's like, okay, I'm going towards this object, and a lot of times they can be ruthless with how they go towards that object or that end product. Okay, um, like I don't give a fuck about the consequences. When they want something. I had an ISFP at work tell me today earlier that she was going to get on Christian. What's that fucking fat loss weight thing?
Ozempic.
Oh, she said she's gonna get on Ozempic. She don't care what. what happened because her boyfriend had a reaction from it. She said she don't give a fuck,
Mm,
because she's looking at that end product and with that pragmatic to it.
mhm.
So pragmatic slash utilitarian is a focus on autonomy, guys. Like they have a utilitarian mindset. The ends justify the means. They have the interest, right? Me and Christian talk about it with them. It's pragmatic interest, right? Because they're an SP, and the difference with them is they have that disgusting interest, right? They're just gonna let you know flat out what they get out of a situation, right? As in opposed to a lot of times the FE interest can be like win-win, and to make it a win-win for yourself. But that FI interest is like, I'm gonna make sure I come out on top, right? And it's
Right.
gonna be immediate interest.
Mhm.
Immediate. It's not gonna be like long-term interest or what's in the best for everybody. It's what the hell do I get out of this? Oh, I'm not getting nothing out of this. I'm not being compensated. I'm not doing it.
Or I'm not being
So
valued, remember? Because they care a lot about their values. Like, oh,
mhm.
I'm not doing something that aligns with my values out of this, then I'm out.
I got to sacrifice myself for this? No. So they're concrete, right? They focus on what is, right? With the SE parent, that's when they're really going to be at their best. A lot of people think, ISFP should be leaning into that NI child more, but the real result here is that they're actually better when they lean into the SE parent. Okay. And they're going to be responding, they're going to be introverted.
All right, so cognitive functions for ISFP. So, like we mentioned, FI hero, right? This is going to be their Goku, their strongest function. It's all about inner harmony, authenticity, and being congruent with identity, right? That is what is most important for them. Second, we have the SE parent. Like we've mentioned in the past, this is SE data, concrete data that you take in around the environment. It's about being in the moment and trusting your instincts. That's where the tactical intelligence comes from. It takes action relevant to the moment that we mentioned. Okay. NI child, it's about vision, focus, pursuing a great level of awareness and transforming yourself, what will happen, your wants. But like we mentioned, it's in the child spot. So it could be a little bit childish with it, kind of impulsive. And that's something that, me and my previous coworker, we kind of bonded over because we would always talk about our wants kind of like in the same way. So NI child, very apparent with ISFPs. And they have TE in the inferior slot. Now, TE is about outside sources, outside frameworks, following steps, fulfilling timetables and schedules. But they have it in the inferior spot, so it's kind of in a weak slot. Okay. Now, FE opposing to FI hero. We have outward harmony, understanding people's needs, and tapping into social dynamics. Like Mercer mentioned, because they have it in the opposing slot, sometimes their interest takes a more disgusting approach, like he mentioned. Okay.
I'm just saying, with the opposing, it's important to notice is like they can be stubborn about like their values over the uh, everybody else's values, but over time they'll learn to take in more of an empathetic side of things to also make their values even better, right? Like
Hmm.
a young ISFP will be me, 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 but then as they get older, you'll see like with Mike Tyson and his growth, he learned to value other people just as much and make his FI even better, right? That's what you want to do with your opposing. You want to blend it in with your hero.
Another thing I've noticed about FE opposing is that a lot of these ISFPs, you'll notice like they'll get very emotional when they talk about how they affect others. They'll take other people's emotions because like it'll make them internally feel like it's very powerful. Like Mercer's mentioned before, the hero and the opposing are very powerful, even when the opposing is developed.
Hmm.
Like for example, if you have TI hero, your TE could be very strong if you develop it. It's kind of in that same way. You'll see ISFPs be amazingly empathetic towards people and even take on
Hmm.
people's emotions. Like I've seen ISFP people cry over others, like other people's like situations, which is, kind of
Hmm.
crazy to me because I don't have that. But
Super crazy. Crazy.
yeah. So SI critic, like Mercer's mentioned in the past, critic is more overt, right? It's more like of a direct criticism. This is all about recalling experiences, stabilizing a situation, and comparing to the known. So a lot of the times you'll see SI criticize people under lack of experience with a certain issue or idea, right?
Or even the memory, or
Oh,
even the memory.
mhm. Or memory.
Like, and if
Then
you really want to piss them off, you could
mhm.
kind of like try to ruin the experience, right? If, like, let's say they're trying to watch a series and you tell them the ending of it, SI critic gonna come out and nail you. But he
So
gonna be
next we got any trickster. This is about patterns, possibilities, and connections. You'll see that ISFPs can become very overwhelmed with possibilities to a certain extent. And they'll just think that they'll have all these possibilities and think that they're good with them, but really they're not. You know what I mean? And
yeah,
lastly, we got TI demon. Sometimes they don't value logic, or they don't even see the logic, okay, in things. Like you'll see them act in illogical ways, because they're really just prioritizing their value system and what makes them feel good internally, but they just don't see the logical processes. And what that looks like is, you know, because we share anti-child, me and ISFPs, they'll go after their wants childishly, similar to me, but they'll chase stuff that makes them feel good. Whereas me is like, I'll chase stuff even if it makes me feel bad, as long as it's the logical step forward. That's kind of like the difference. So,
yeah. I mean, I'll touch a little bit on some other shit.
mhm,
So like with NI child here, you got to remember like it's in the child spot, so it can lead to great insight, but a lot of times you'll find some ISFPs looping between FI and NI, and that will create problems. It will cause them to retreat or withdraw, and it will lead them to the inner world because that's FI and NI, and that's just inner, like that's introverted functions, right? This can lead the ISFP to be out of touch with reality, can lead to like ISFPs envision outcomes based on emotions, right?
mhm,
And weak intuition, right? Because this child function is not that great.
mhm,
No matter what, it's not that great. Okay, this is not your bread and butter. That's an INTJ's bread and butter at NI, right? But you're gonna be looping in it and trying to use it like it's yours. And it's going to also lead you to struggle to take action, right? Because INTJs really struggle with taking action. You're going to be taking on that characteristic as well. You're going to be dwelling on emotions or setbacks. Often leads to regret because you're not taking advantage of the moment, right? You're not doing what you're meant to be doing. You're not using your parent. You're not being responsible. You can often try to use like intuition to make a leap and be completely fucking wrong, right? Because you're relying on something that's a child, not a parent or a hero. Um, you can also think you know something, but like I said again, it's like a child or a hero. Can also lead to paranoia, or like fears of conspiracies, conspiracy theories, people having hidden agendas, and being absolutely wrong, guys. It can lead to one of the biggest things I see with ISFPs, and that's with them feeling like they're misunderstood. Um, and it also leads to like self-fulfilling prophecies for them as well, where they believe something's going to happen and it ends up happening, right? Because they're getting stuck in this loop here from the FI to NI, right? But the talk more on that TE inferior. So these people are going to struggle like to verbally get out what they want to say or value, or say their opinion. They're going to struggle with like being effective, implementing things. Struggle kind of sometimes putting their feet down on certain issues. It's going to be overall hard for them to get the words out, and like being effectively organizing their environment, right? Or being like a workaholic. Like TE is usually going to be around workaholic efficiencies of that nature. And
mhm,
then that any tricks that I just want to touch on that a little bit more. It is unaware and struggle with emerging possibilities, brainstorming, seeing connection, and envisioning multiple futures, right? Struggle with understanding consequential awareness attached to extrovert intuition, can dismiss new emerging things, can be overwhelmed with possibilities, can lead to what I talk about with Christian, right? Christian has his Superman the Superman effect. Mercy calls that shit the Superman effect. Well, Christian think whatever he's gonna do is gonna work every time. And I'm like, Christian, you didn't think about this, or that. Like, what the fuck you doing? But that's what this kind of leads to, right? It's one way to do this, and I don't even care about everything that could be happening. Like, there could be a fucking shitload of bombs around.
Mm.
And another thing, they can trick and manipulate people with NE. That's the thing that people don't realize. They can trick and manipulate people with NE to get what they want. They'll throw out options and stuff to manipulate people, right? And you guys all know what TI demon is at this point. Like, if you catch them in a certain thing, they may be kind of annoyed with trying to find the logical consistencies or the struggle with what the logic is behind something, or they won't talk about why something is, or trying to find a deeper understanding of something. They can feel intellectually inadequate, and sometimes they'll even tear apart their own logic when they're trying to deduce something, right? So yeah. So guys, we got the TE grip here. So this is happens when like an INFP is overwhelmed, right? And FI needs a break, right? They haven't been given the FI break, and FI just like burns out, right? So short-term grip happens when ISFP is overwhelmed by emotions and the conviction that something isn't right. So with FI, unsure how to express their convictions to others, the ISFP will blow up certain that there's something that's wrong and needs to be righted. They will express offense, indignation, and anger. This is when ISFP will become uncharacteristically aggressive and sometimes even violent in words or action, surprising themselves after they hit a cool down period. So basically, man, you just fucked up right here. You just crossed something that they value, right? And now they going TE on your ass, right? And you be like, I ain't never seen this side of that person, right? This can result in possibly ISFP killing you. Okay. Like, you guys know, I'll be telling you guys, you better chill. ISFPs don't play. They really don't play. They live in the moment. And a lot of times they don't really think about the consequential awareness. And when you cross their morals or something they value, or a friend or something, that could be your ass in a short-term grip. Okay, so long-term grip, when there's a nagging feeling the ISFP is trying to get away from, they choose distractions as an outlet. So basically, this is basically like they're experiencing something in life, and they're just going to work like an ENTJ or ESTJ, just tirelessly throwing themselves behind it. The bad thing about this is that that's not who they are, right? This is going to lead to disharmony. This is going to lead to depression. This is going to lead to them not finding their purpose, right? Because to them, it's about finding authenticity and chasing the quest for authenticity and sharing that authenticity with the world through art or whatnot. And just tirelessly working on something is not what they want to be about. They want to be about the purpose, their purpose. Um,
Mm.
so they need to sit down and use their SE parent and inner child to, go out there and endeavor that they could share with the rest of the world, and not just try to, throw themselves into work to get away from things or bad experiences or negative emotions. So habitual grip, a grip ISFP may use manipulative behavior. I've seen this quite a bit. ISFP
Mm.
I've noticed that ISFP women can be very manipulative. I'm just gonna fucking say it. I've noticed that they can be very manipulative. I'm pretty C.S. Joseph did break down the ISFP on his channel, um, about how she manipulated this ENTP to kill somebody for her, right? She didn't kill him. She manipulated somebody else to do it. So that's how this can come out. This ISFP will exploit their emotional keto to see stress, anxiety, and other negative emotions in other people, hoping to force them to act on the ISFP's behalf. See? Unable to inspire others to stay motivated with healthy conviction, ISFP lacks the ability to meet their own needs and must continue to manipulate others, right? They can get away with manipulating people. Um, I know a friend of mine talked about how she got out of her kind
Hometown.
of hometown that was dead, like it was just a shitty place. And she manipulated a man by marrying him to get out of her town, and that's what I'm talking about here. I hate to say that. The men can be just as manipulative as well because they can manipulate through their emotions as well. You don't love me, like, all that type of stuff, crying and all that crazy shit.
Mhm.
Hate to say it, but they fucking do it. I'm gonna kill myself if you leave me, shit like that.
Mm.
Um, Unfortunately, I hate to say it, man. Um, but yeah, Christian, go and take that.
All right, so the dark grip. In this space, everything is starkly good or bad. The ISFP is highly judgmental. His or her belief are reality, and anything that does not match the ideal is villainized or suppressed. Its societal pressure is strong. The aspects of the ISFP's own identity that do not match are also squashed. The result is a deep seated tension, often based in their gut, and the person projects resentment, anger, and even hatred onto others, endlessly analyzing their minds and motives, both those who oppose and oppress, as well as those who have already freed themselves from societal tyranny. This anger can explode or alternate with depression or anxiety, which the person may refuse to recognize. So I see this as like ISFP stuck in a place where their values aren't you know, being held to importance, or they're not valued within that system, and they feel stuck. And like I said, we had a coworker who's ISFP, and she felt like that in that job, and she was constantly talking about how anxious she was and how like it was creating like resentment in her, and how she didn't envision herself being in that situation. And this is kind of how I see that. Like she was breeding a lot of resentment. It wasn't until she left that job and joined another situation where she was being valued more that she could get out of this dark grip. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's very important to realize a lot of times if you change your environment, you can change your life, right?
Yeah.
Just like that little story there, that's what I took from that. Changing your environment, change your life. But a lot of times with this grip, what I'm seeing is this is an FI to NI loop again. And a lot of times with the NI, it can cut off all information, right? It can allow the ISFP to just cut off all information, right? And then just go off what they feel, right? And then they could make up all type of scenarios in their head and all type of bullshit, right, to justify feeling good or
Mhm.
feeling the way they need to feel,
And
right?
remember, because the
Reason
FINI
why people
grip,
being held back.
the FINI loop is like Mercer said in the abstract realm. It could be stuff, they could be seeing stuff that's actually not true. It's like they're in that internal world, and they get anxious about things that may or may not even be happening. So
Hmm.
if you're stuck in this grip as a INFP, you need to get out of it so that you could
Yeah,
better your situation, your mental state.
yeah, and a way to get out of it is to like practice mindfulness, right? That's gonna get you out of this, get you in touch with your parent function a little bit more. Get out there in nature, right? Just go out there. You guys are really good at nature, or just start doing something that allows you to apply your kinesthetic intelligence, right?
Mhm.
Um, Take on these little hobbies or whatnot, and that's gonna help you get out of this because when you're in that FINI loop, you're gonna be cutting off information. You're gonna be seeing things that are not there because you have inner child. Unfortunately, it's not that great. It's a child version, right? You're only getting a little bit of what the future could be, right? You're not seeing it all. That's not your bread and butter. You're trying to use somebody else's bread and butter like your own. And sorry, you're gonna make a lot of mistakes doing that. So the best way to use TE for ISFPs, right? Because you want to sprinkle in the TE, and the sprinkling of the TE is going to give you the break that you need, right? It's going to make you happy, and it's going to allow you to fulfill that magic diamond that Dario Nardi talks about, right? You're going to be bringing up the TE in yourself, right? You're going to make sure that the good thing about FI people is, I mean, FI like heroes and whatnot, they make sure that people aren't squashed by the system, right? So this, you guys can use your FI and TE inferior to make sure that the people aren't getting squashed by the system because a lot of people like myself can create systems that squash people.
Mhm. Mhm.
Um, so work on small projects that allow you to marshal resources and time management, right? Because you have TE inferior, time management is going to be hard for you and marshaling the resources. But if you do it on a small scale, it's like a muscle, and you can build that, right? And this is going to allow you to be more effective. Take time to play strategy games. I highly recommend chess, right? I think everybody should at least play 7 games of chess a week, right? Because it just changes the way your mind thinks. You're always thinking moves ahead. No matter what are you doing in life, you're like, okay, I could be doing this, think ahead, right? And you could take a little bit of NI from us that are higher in NI because you're playing these games and strengthening your NI, right? You can't just jump out there with NI and just think your shit's going to be good. It's a muscle. Try to build systems to adhere towards or to-do list, right? The to-do list can help you. Just write it down. We know you guys don't like planning, but planning is important. Small goals over time, using methods to better control the environment in their lives. Think about that, you know. Don't just let life happen to you. I know you got that tactical intelligence and you believe you can improvise to everything, but what if you could combine that with some planning? You'd be unstoppable. Learn to check your facts from multiple sources that align with your beliefs. Like, don't just go with a belief just because you feel it. Make sure there's some validity behind that, or like there's multiple sources backing it up, so you're not believing in something that's stupid or it's not the full story, and you're not going to look crazy in front of people, right? Check your reasons with others for validity, obviously. Look to overall improve effectiveness, efficiency, and try to streamline your creative projects, right? You guys love to do the creative projects and the creative pursuits, but how can you speed that up? How can you make that more effective? How can you streamline this, right? If you're an artist, how can you do that, right? If you're a musician, how can you do that? That's how you can implement some of that TE to get the FI that you want, right? So that you can build this art for the world to admire. Consult strong TE users to help with implementation, time management, and spatial organization. It's very important to use your SE parent to say, hey, Mercer, what the fuck you doing that allows you to do this better? Oh shit, you doing that? Now I'm gonna steal that. Shotgun gun, okay? It's very important to do that, right? No one is perfect. No one is perfect, and no one has unlimited time, right? So we all have to borrow things from other people, right? Because somebody else will maximize his skill, right? Christian maximize skill. I'm looking at Christian. What the fuck you doing over there? Okay. Oh, that shit working for you? Okay, I'm gonna steal that. You need to do the same thing, okay?
So here we got ISFP subtypes. Okay, as we mentioned before, subtypes are differences in personality within one type that change according to your hormone levels. For example, here we got Mike Tyson, right? He's the dominant type of the ISFP. He has higher levels of testosterone. Okay, then we have Dennis Rodman. He's more of a creative type, more exploratory, more social, and a rebel. I don't know if you guys know the story, but he used to leave championship games to go to Vegas for a while and come back. You know, that type of stuff. That's associated with higher levels of dopamine, right? Then we have Kim Kardashian, a normalizing type, more conventional, more dedicated, uh, more often in support roles. Even though Kim Kardashian is kind of like the face of that brand, her mom was actually the one running the show. It was more of like a supportive role, if you know the story. And these people have higher levels of serotonin. Okay. Then we have Bobby Altoff. Okay, we did a typing session on her. It's on the channel if you guys want to go search for it. These people are more harmonizing. They're more empathic and reflective. More often in the relator roles. That's why she's does a podcast, right? But you know, if you go to the typing session, you will notice the direct type interest in there. Okay, the disgusting interest that we mentioned with ISFPs.
Yeah, I mean, with Bobby, you could see because when she first started her podcast, it was more about mommy, being a mommy, right? The higher estrogen levels there.
Mm.
So, yeah. I mean, there's a lot of badass ISFPs out there like Mike Tyson, Charles Barkley, Shaq, Bo Jackson. These are all beast motherfuckers that people wouldn't even realize, right? But they have that rich inner world. I mean, Mike Tyson, you can obviously see it,
Mm.
right? When Mike Tyson starts, everybody, we make a joke in our group or in general. It's like, if you're around Mike Tyson, anybody will become informative because you don't get punched in your fucking mouth because you know anything could offend his FI. That's the reason why we all say that. We all instinctually knew about type. But you know, this just helps explains it a lot more. Everybody know Everybody who goes around Mike Tyson is scared because they know if they say one thing that Mike Tyson don't like, they might get punched in the fucking mouth. Why? Because he doesn't care about the consequences and he's about what he values and he's in tune with his emotions. And when you cross them, that's your ass, Mr. Postman.
And
Okay?
just to expand on that, if you know about Mike Tyson, you know he's done a lot of developing over the years, and now you see
Mm-hmm.
him a lot more, tearing up in interviews. And it's what we mentioned before, like your FI is tied to the FE, right? And once the FE becomes strong enough, you become very empathetic. Now, Mike Tyson, you'll
Mm-hmm.
see like when he talks about his effect on other people, he might tear up or he might, express a lot of, emotions over that.
Guilt
So,
or guilt or for how he acted or how he acted when he was younger. A lot of that I think you'll see with Mike Tyson, but it's amazing to see the transformation in that guy because when he was younger, he was a lot more angrier,
mhm.
right? He would punish you. Now he might give you he most likely gonna give you a pass, and that's because of that FE imposing working on that FI, right? It's homing in and making it very good, right? And guys, this is always our references. You can check out these books. We do have them on our website. We will keep upgrading our website in the future. You'll be able to get courses and all of that thing from our website and book typing sessions. Yeah, well, I would say for the ISFP, right? Um, to make sure that you practice that mindfulness is going to help your FI grow. And be aware of the FINI loop and realizing that it does stagnate you and hurt you, right? It's gonna give you a little bit more performance anxiety, and you're not a person that should be having performance anxiety, right? It's gonna make you cut off information, right? Because the NI is not gonna want to hear any other thing. It's gonna go off what you feel and your intuition. And oftentimes that could be wrong. It's also gonna envision sometimes bad possibilities for you,
Mhm.
right? Or make self-fulfilling prophecies on a lot of things, right? So you need to sit back, relax, right? And go out in the nature, do something that a sport, do something that gets you moving, get that kinesthetic intelligence going, because that's what's going to make you the best version of yourself. Get out of the abstract world and get into the concrete world because that is where you're king or queen at. Okay.
Mhm.
And it's very important to surround yourself with people that's going to pick you up, right?
I would say, if you're in a situation where you don't feel valued as an INFP, use that tactical intelligence and don't be afraid to move situations, right? Just because, like Mercer said, you change your environment, you change your life, right? Oftentimes. So I would say don't stay in a situation that you know is bad for you because it could put you into one of these grips and it could cause a lot of anxiety. Don't be scared to actually move situations to improve your life as an INFP, and look for employment that, you know, fulfills your values because that's the king for you, right? So that's if you're gonna fulfill your values in your employment, you're gonna feel good about yourself, your mental state is gonna be good, and you're gonna do your best work, right? But if you stay in an employment that doesn't value that, then it's going to be the total opposite. It's going to be a pain in the ass. Right?
Yeah, and I would say sometimes you're going to have to, eat shit to be able to pursue the craft or the art that you want to, right? Because maybe sometimes it's best to work that job, but do your art on the side, right? Because you don't want to just be that starving artist, right? So do your art on the side, and then eventually, when the art starts to pick up, you quit your job, right? Think about this from a strategic point of view and don't just go all in on something, right? And also think about like the consequences to some of the decisions you make, right? Because a lot of times when you fuck up, you can't go back, right? When you fuck up bad enough, you really can't go back. So you can't afford to make those mistakes, right? Um, and also like realize that you are also smart and you can think just like anybody else, but it's just a negative voice in your head, right? It's a negative voice in your head that's telling you, like, hey, my logic isn't working, or like the logical deduction. It's just in the moment. Just, tell that shit to shut the fuck up. You got this. You can handle this. You can learn anything, right? You got to, start telling yourself something positive here, right? You're a smart individual just like anybody else. It may not come as easy as it comes to somebody else, but they also have problems, right? The people that it comes easy to, they also got problems, right? So we all got problems, okay? So realize that. Just realize it may take you a little bit longer and stick with it,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
It's all about consistency with a lot of things and over time. So that's probably one of the best things I could say about for ISFPs. And take time to like kind of learn skills and trades that can grow their ability to think for themselves, right? Or logically to do something.
Also,
Um,
I would say also pair up with people too, because you have that T in the inferior slot, but that doesn't mean it's unusable, right? It doesn't mean that it doesn't have value. So pair up with people that may be high TE, and then you guys can achieve things, great things together, because you're bringing in a whole nother world that that person's probably lacking, right? Because if they're strong in TE, then maybe they don't have that FI, or they don't see the value in certain things that you do, and you could bring that it factor into their project, and it could be great for society or for yourself
mhm.
or for people in general, right? Because you're bringing in, like Mercer said, you're creating systems that don't exploit people, don't squash people, right? So you could be basically, you could bring positive things to society by pairing up with these
Mhm.
people that are very TE focused. So,
And be okay with criticism is the last thing I would say, right? And just because somebody criticizes you, that doesn't mean it's a personal attack. And I know personally as an FI user, that when somebody criticizes me, sometimes it can feel like a personal attack. But you got to get yourself out of that mindset. Like, okay,
mm,
I'm taking this criticism, but I'm going to be better in the long run for this, right? Not that this person is trying to hurt me or make me feel a certain type of way. It's okay. It's okay.
yeah, that could be a challenge. That could be a challenge for FI hero. They take it very
Yeah.
criticism. They take it very harshly, I would say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, guys, this is another one down. This is the fifth of our 16 personality in-depth breakdown.
Hmm.
We'll be doing the ESFP next, so you want to stick around for that and drop some comments if you learned anything or that this resonated with you if you're an ISFP, or if you know somebody who is an ISFP and you see these tendencies or anything of this, or and share this with people who you think will like it. Okay.
And if you want an
Um,
example of somebody a little bit more famous, an INFP that's kind of famous, go check out the typing session we did on Bobby Altoff. That's a really great one. I really enjoyed making that with Mercer. So go ahead and check that out, because we go into kind of like how the pragmatic interest ties into her personality and why she is like unliked by certain people, because she's very upfront
mhm.
with her interests, right? It's in that video. So go check that out as well. And stay tuned, because we're coming with more. And we'll catch you on the next one.
And hide that disgusting interest.
Disgusting.